Wahoo!
In der guten alten Zeit lebten die Menschen noch ruhig und in Frieden. Niemand glaubte, dass es in Zukunft zu einer Bedrohung kommen würde. Auf der Schattenseite des Friedens und des Wachstums gab und gibt es aber auch immer das Böse. Die Menschen beginnen, das Wachstum abzulehnen und bezeichnen den Frieden als Degeneration. Wir haben uns hier versammelt, um die Mächte der Finsternis mit unserem verfluchten Blut zu rufen. Wir wollen, dass sie die Welt regieren. Wir erwarten lächelnd den Niedergang der Welt. Nach 100 Jahren ist der Böse wieder auferstanden. Er kann sich in eine Fledermaus, einen Wolf und Nebel verwandeln. Er liebt die Nacht. Er schlürft das Blut von jungen Frauen und lebt ewig. Der Burgherr des Teufelsschlosses, der Herr des Bösen, Graf Dracula ist auferstanden.
Hello all, Jack Holleworth here with another edition of Jack Plays, and this time we're going to be taking a look at Castlevania Dracula X, Rondo of Blood, or as it was called in Japan, Akumiku Dracula X, Chino Rondo, on the PC Engine CD. This, I'd have to say, is probably the first Japanese exclusive Castlevania game that literally everyone was just begging to be released, like outside of Japan and all that. We eventually got it 14 years later as an unlockable game on the PSP out in the Dracula X Chronicles, but until then, we were pretty much out of luck if we didn't live in Japan. As far as emulating this game goes, today I'll be using BizHawk, an emulator which supports like many different systems. Well, to be honest, I mainly downloaded it just for being able to emulate this particular game, because the ISO I have on my RetroPie right now, it plays certain parts of the soundtrack that it shouldn't. So there's my cop-out answer. Anyway, stage 0, and it's our first encounter with death. He's pathetically easy, as long as you don't get hit like I did. Just hit him a few times, his side will disappear. I don't think so. And he just leaves. And now we can actually, start playing the game. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty much what you'd come to expect from like a classic Castlevania game. Just go from point A to point B. You know, fight a boss at the end of every level. It's just the basic formula we loved Castlevania for until Symphony of the Night came along. Well, no, the whole point A to point B thing is still beloved by many fans, but again, Symphony of the Night just pretty much became the prime example of which direction the series would be headed in for like a really long time. As far as the controls go, you've pretty much gone back to like the NES style controls, because there's only like 2 main buttons on the TurboGrafx controller. So you have to hold up and press button 2, if I remember correctly, to throw your special weapon. You can backflip by pressing the jump button twice. Our first boss is this wyvern over here. All he does is just swoop down at you and shoot fire everywhere. Pressing select, you can do what the game likes to call an item crash. A concept that was introduced in this game. Obviously it all depends on which sub-weapon you have right now. And beating each level without taking any damage whatsoever, you gain an extra life. Stage 2, and now we're actually going into the castle. This was the stage I hated playing the most on my PSP back then, because of how well these crows blended in with the black background. Well, the black in the background, I should say. And given that the sun could reflect off the screen, just like that, Yeah, I wasn't really the biggest fan of this opening bit back in the day. Oh, you kind of dumb thing to nitpick on, but I'll do it anyway. Richter cannot duck under like overhead axes. Only Maria, who we're gonna get later on. I don't know why this is a thing, but you're pretty much forced to either jump over the axes or whip them away. I also like some of the details, like the developers really snuck in here, like this entire second stage. An exact replica of the first stage from Castlevania 1. Anyway, we can get the key from the second candle while this behemoth chases us. He's really slow, so you shouldn't really need to worry about having him ram into you from behind. See what I said about this level being an exact replica? Even the hidden meat's still there. But anyway, use the key we just got to unlock this door. And rescue this little girl who's being held captive. Where we're introduced to an anime-style cutscene. Unfortunately, I can't really understand Japanese that much, so... Is that you? Who are you? I'm Richter Belmont, vampire hunter. Oh? I'm Generic Anime Guild 2000, Maria Renard. Our city was attacked by these ugly bat things and I want to join you on your journey. What do you say? Are we friends now? Sure, friends. But Maria, this adventure is too dangerous for a girl your age. You should probably just stay here. Oh, you don't know me. I can handle myself just fine. And just like that, Maria Renard has joined our party. But yeah, given that this game was only released in Japan, at least until it was included on the PSP. Like all the cutscenes are in Japanese and all that. I never considered it a big deal since Rondo of Blood isn't a story-heavy game anyway. But you know, that gives me a good excuse to shoehorn in my own dialogue. Our second boss is this werewolf over here. His moveset isn't really anything too dangerous, although he does have a pretty annoying slide kick. Also, most of the bosses in this game have desperation attacks when you kill them. If you played Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, or at least seen people fight the bosses in that game, then you should have a pretty, you know, rough idea of what desperation attacks are. As far as I know, only one of them can actually kill you. But yeah, anything else I can say while I'm just whipping my way through stage 3? Well, I think the soundtrack makes really good use of being on a CD. That's about all I could really say before we get up to our next big threat, the supposed mini-boss of this stage. Obviously, your favourite enemies, the flea men, are back. Although I really doubt anyone missed them. Plus the infamous Medusa heads. Despite what you think, those little pits won't kill you. They'll just send you to like another part of the stage. So yeah, our I kind of want to say mini boss, but that's being a bit vague about it. Is this golden skeleton? He takes quite a few hits to kill, but other than that, he's really not too bad. Seeing how predictable he is. And let us celebrate our victory against him any further by hitting that bell a second time. And a third time. Yeah, that didn't really do much. Also, one thing I have to give props to the developers for is being able to swap sub-weapons on the fly. It's not just you accidentally picked a sub-weapon up. Too bad, you're keeping it. I feel like they kind of catched on to how frustrating that can be, and pretty much put that in. Like, it's a really welcome feature, I must admit. Granted, you don't really have that in Bloodstained Curse of the Moon now, but at least sub-weapons are now indicated by like blue candles. This guy will just steal whatever sub-weapon you have on you. Coming up to another boss. Keeping the axe, which won't really work on this boss. Eat this big piece of meat for points, and since we're at full health. Our third boss is this Minotaur. Again, his moveset isn't anything too dangerous if you're used to it. And what's his desperation attack? Sure you can. Of course, I can't time dodging that. I can't time dodging that too well at all. And I can't time my victory backflips too well either. Stage 4, and we're in a dungeon. This or stage 5 is where I'd argue the game starts to get like really hard. Or at least where the difficulty spike becomes like the most noticeable. Yeah, don't step on those big buttons here, or yeah, arrows will spit out of there, and the end result won't be pretty. And obviously, being on a CD means we get to hear like these glorious remixes of other Castlevania tunes. I always found this bit here to be more about timing than anything. But yeah, like I mentioned with the pits in stage 3, there are quite a few alternate paths you can take, some of which even lead to alternate bosses, which can then take you to alternate stages. So there's quite a lot of replay value to be had with this one. I don't think I've ever really been through that without doing much to manipulate the spike ball. And who's going to be boss number 4? The Dullahan, with his absurdly long lance. I know I could be over-exaggerating, but this thing has got some absurd distance. If you get hit by his head, it'll pretty much curse you, causing you to walk a lot slower and all that. I kinda consider that one of the more easier desperation attacks to avoid. I just could not time my backflips well that day. Yeah, stage 5 is where I'd say the difficulty spike becomes like very noticeable. Basically, you're making your way through a ghost ship. Oh, gotta love this little clip right here, though. What hit? I'm sorry, but what hit me? But yeah, I start devolving into real suck territory here. I lost almost all my health to like one skeleton archer. Whip the engine enough times and an extra life will come bursting out of it. Of course I have plenty of them already, but you know, since the game has just become like relatively hard, I think it's better to have as most of a lot of them. Here's an enemy that Bloodstain was outright inspired by. If you come into contact with that painting, it'll pretty much kill you in one hit. Like, I'm not even joking, it traps you inside and just obliterates you. But yeah, hit it enough times and you're free to go. This last little room can go pretty badly as well. Like, you've got flea men flying on eagles, this thing. It's just a mess. I was very lucky to kill that guy at the last second. Thankfully, I found a bit of meat in that brick right there, but I was honestly debating if that was going to be enough for me to beat death on the same life. If you're familiar with how he was in the other Castlevania games before this one, then he's pretty much the same here. He doesn't really do much. Size will just spawn wherever they feel like, while you're too busy throwing axes at him. And before phase 2 can begin, he'll try to shoot 5 skulls at you. If any of those 5 skulls hit you, he'll shoot them again and again and again until you dodge them all. I believe I believe he can also knock you off the mast. I've had that happen to me like quite a few times. But yeah, we have killed Death once again. Well, I say once again because he's been quite a regular boss in the series up to this point. And that's probably the only victory backflip I'm ever gonna get in this footage. And we are rewarded with another anime cutscene. I'm just going to light this room up for you, darling. Don't move or I'll commit seppuku. Calm down, woman. You don't need to commit suicide just because I've kidnapped you. Do you not realize how lucky you are, woman? Don't move or I'll really do it. Oh, come on. You know you don't mean that. After all, your precious Belmont isn't going to come help you. Chances are he's probably dead by now. Master Dracula. What? You turned into a rectangle. Come over here so I can speak to you. Not so fast, I'm over here. I am no longer a rectangle. Goodbye. What is wrong with this script? Rikita. I don't know if you couldn't hear like the Japanese dialogue, but chances are it was way better than mine. But yeah, stage 6, it isn't really a stage of sorts, it's more of a boss rush more than anything. Basically, all stage 6s is a boss rush featuring the classic Castlevania 4 bosses, Castlevania 1 bosses, minus Death, who we just killed earlier. Phantom Bat is probably the easiest to take down. Gives us a bunch of hearts upon his defeat. Medusa can be kinda tricky depending on what attack she does. Her tail's got some pretty good range. That's 2 of the 4 bosses down. You have to beat all 4 of these bosses in one go, by the way. The mummy will give you a bit of meat upon defeating him, so that's all good to have. Frankenstein is a little different, seeing as how he doesn't have his flea men partner with him. But yeah, now that we've taken down all 4 of those bosses, we can now take on the Dark Priest known as Shaft. Kind of a stupid name, really. But yeah, this first fight against him went really badly in my opinion. Yeah, he just obliterated me. But you know what the good thing about dying on Shaft is? You don't have to fight those first 4 bosses again, hallelujah. If that was the case, I'd pretty much be stuck on this stage forever. But yeah, Shaft can be pretty annoying. I mean, he does pretty much do the exact same 3 things over and over again, but I find them all difficult to do anything against in their own right. And yeah, one thing I do is stay away from his orbs at all costs, because his desperation attack is the only one in the game that can actually kill you. But anyway, we are now nearing the end of the game. If you know how things would go from how stages like this would open up, you would know very well that it's another clock tower level. You know, the one thing that pretty much every Castlevania game needs. Now, obviously, this, excluding stage 5 dash, would have to be like the hardest stage in the game. Like, mainly for obvious reasons. Get the key from this bird over here, who's thankfully not too tough to beat, because in this stage we can find and rescue Annette, the second of the 4 maidens you can rescue in this game. Aside from Maria, rescuing the maidens pretty much has no purpose. You were pretty much given a reason to save them in the remake, since it was required for like the true ending, but here they're pretty much just for 100% completion purposes. Annette, I found you! Richter! You've saved me. Thank you. Now I just need to take down Dracula. Oh, that vampire guy. You mean the guy who's behind me? He's just a JPEG made just for this cutscene. Oh. I'm going to kill Dracula if it's the last thing I do, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I'll be on my way, Annette. Richter, don't! I understand. Do what you think is right. So that was that. And obviously this ridiculously hard stage is filled to the brim with Medusa heads. Yeah, if you fall down there, you're in a pretty bad spot as far as I'm concerned. Sure, that pretty much launched me into safety, but even so, that's a bad situation you don't want to be in. As far as I know, you can pretty much count off 8 hits with these guys, and they're pretty much dead after that. Last room before the second to last boss. As long as that guy doesn't knock me off. And if you don't miss the jump. Yeah, doing an item crash with no sub-weapon will pretty much cause Richter to throw his flame whip. Thankfully, you don't have to waste any resources trying to kill those guys again because they don't respawn. Have a bit of Castlevania 3 deja vu. And we are ready to fight whoever will be the second to last final boss in the game. Is that Shaft's cape? I thought we killed him. Yep, the second to last boss is in fact Shaft's ghosts. He certainly does not want you to make it to Dracula if he can even face you while he's dead. I cannot get those backflips for the life of me. And we are now in the final stage. Little secret area here. From what I remember, that was actually based on a glitch in like the Famicom version of Castlevania 1. The money you get you can get this whole time is only good for like buying boss strategies. And yeah, holding button 2 causes Richter to moonwalk. So our final boss is Dracula, and he is by tradition pretty easy compared to the rest of the bosses we faced. And obviously, since he's Dracula, like, it just wouldn't be a Dracula fight if he didn't have a second form on him. Not good at timing that. Throw the cross in the wrong direction. And he's down. We have officially beat Rondo of Blood. Grab this last orb. Throw a cross in Dracula's face, and that is it. Once again, this rejected anime protagonist has defeated me. Perhaps this too is part of my fate. Be gone, monster. This world is not yours to leave in. It is not the greed of humans that brings me back. It was because of what Konami did to stab their fans in the back eventually. Well, at least we can agree that Konami stabbed their fans in the back. Even if Mindless Sheep continues to support their actions these days. You can't deny the fact that they want to forget their Castlevania series was even a thing to begin with. That much is true too. I can't improvise a script on the spot. Neither can I. Nevertheless, I just wanted to let that out about their dark truth before I died. We will meet again, Belmont. Not too sure what the tears have to do with anything. And just like that, Castlevania crumbles. Or rather, It doesn't in this. It doesn't in Richter's ending. But yeah, while Richter celebrates his victory by riding off on a horse, we're just gonna skip ahead and start playing as Maria, who we just unlocked way earlier in this playthrough. So, go in, press player start, player select even, go all the way back to stage 1, and we are now playing as Maria. When it comes to how Maria controls, she is far more versatile and powerful than Richter. She is a glass cannon compared to him though, so you can't afford to get hit too many times. Or rather take unnecessary hits. Nevertheless, Maria is so much fun to play with in this game. She can perform so many things that Richter cannot do. She can double jump. Her dubs can deal massive damage. Yeah, see, she's so much fun to play with if you just want to mess around. So yeah, remember those alternate bosses I was talking about? Well, this is the first of them. Oh yeah, in terms of another thing about the last thing I'll probably have to mention about Maria's moveset. If you press up, down, left or right, depending on which direction you want to do it in, and button 2, she'll do an attack called Guardian Fist, which you just saw earlier. It makes for like really good damage. Get out of his way because he also has a desperation attack. And with that, we are now in stage 2 dash. Yeah, be careful for like be careful for spots where the bridge crumbles, because if you fall there, oops, straight into the water where you'll lose a life. Yeah, Maria is pretty much a glass cannon compared to Richter, despite all of her pros. So don't think you're playing on easy mode just because you're a little girl. And obviously, and just to keep in touch with her nature, all of the meat you find has been replaced with lollipops and birthday cakes and all that. I was kind of starting to debate if I would make this jump right here, But of course, Maria has a double jump, so she can obviously make something like that. I always found that kind of funny, even when I was playing this game casually. The little girl who's 12 years old can double jump, but a grown man can't. Even though you don't see many of these enemies in the game, they're definitely the strongest of their kind. The final guard. He's the kind of guy I would heavily advise using Guardian Fist for. He takes so many hits, it's unbelievable. The funny thing about the alternate stages is you can go back to like the main line of bosses, and you know go back to regular stage 3 from here. So our second alternate boss is this bone skeleton who takes on 3 different forms. Second form, he'll pretty much turn it into this strange bat sort of thing. And his third form, I don't know what it's supposed to be, it just looks like a mess to me. And stage 3 dash, the graveyard. This guy's really not too threatening if you have Maria's dragon on you. We're not going to take that door up there. Instead, we are going to go through that breakable wall and go down this wooden staircase to find the third maiden of the 4. Have you come to rescue me, little girl? Thank you so much. Wait, what was your name? Generic anime girl, Maria Renard, at your service. Good luck, Maria. Yeah, the last 2 maidens cutscenes are like very brief, simply because they're not that important to the plot. Some of the alternate routes, yeah, you can take are blatantly obvious, and others, well, you have to think a bit outside the box for those. third alternate boss is what the game likes to call, like, the Dogver, I think it was. Again, another boss that can end relatively quickly if you're playing as Maria. Stage 4 dash. This is the stage where we'll find the fourth and final maiden we can rescue in this game. In the second area, these frog statues you see are not just for show. Simply attack them to make them disappear into the ground. Just keep on going. And eventually, you should see another frog statue just like that one. Attack that one too. Go back. And you can now go down here. You still have to go through a bit of effort to find this one. But just like that, we have rescued Iris. Thank you for rescuing me. Oh dear, are you hurt? No, it's fine, it's just a bruise. Here, let me help you. I know how to heal wounds, you know. Gee, thank you. Thank God I don't have to improvise any more dialogue until Dracula. But yeah, we're going to go back. But that was completely ruined by the merman who decided to pop out of the water. But on the bright side, we def warped back here. Not really too much to this segment, it's just a bit of a high-speed raft chase. It ends relatively quickly, but the end of it, you do have to be like very careful. You really have to be quick on your toes for it. And I can't even read what that says. Let this guy guide us across the river. And yeah, if you lose the key in that candle there, you might as well just kill yourself and try again, because you cannot open that door without the key. You need it. Again, not really too much to this particular boss. Just attack the skull that's bleeding out of its eye sockets. And after that you can pretty much focus on this girl right in the bottom, who turns into a ninja for some reason. I always liked that sound effect for some reason. It always sounded like she just had her day ruined to me. Ugh. But now we are on to the part I dreaded the most. Stage 5 Dash. Best song in the game. Hardest level, in my opinion. Even if you're playing as Maria, like, it certainly doesn't help this stage at all. Or help you at this stage at all. This may be the only stage that doesn't have a boss at the end, but this stage is very long, and if you take too much damage, you'll pretty much be begging for a pork chop or lollipop all the time. In fact, I'd say this upcoming part is probably the worst of all. Two final guards. If you don't know how to use Guardian Fist, that can easily be the toughest part of the whole stage. Say, doesn't this look familiar to you? I didn't know we were still in Stage 2 Dash. But thankfully, if you manage to survive all that, you will now find yourself in the last room of Stage 5 Dash. Just make it to the end of here, and you're home free. Back to fighting Shaft and those Castlevania 1 bosses. Anyway, head through that door. And just like that, we are now 100% finished with Rondo of Blood. Yeah, excluding Maria's ending. We can pretty much say that we've officially completed Rondo of Blood. Just a little funny thing about Stage 5 Dash, you can't go there until you've beaten Dracula at least once. But yeah, let's see what Maria's ending looks like, and we will wrap this up. And just laugh at how quickly Dracula gets beaten by a little girl. Yeah, that was sure quick.
Die, Dracula!
Impossible. Beaten by a little girl? How could this be? That's just the power of anime for you, meanie. What ridiculous drivel. At least be my Princess Maria. We can rule the world together. No thank you. A demonic castle isn't the best for a girl like me anyway. So you turned down my final offer then? Well, see you soon, Maria. We will meet again in 5 years, though. See you in Symphony of the Night. What's he think is so funny? The castle's crumbling! Run away from the crumbling castle! Whee! Fan service. And so the castle crumbled and Dracula died. The end. But yeah, that was it for Dracula X Rondo of Blood. And we are just going to let Maria's ending credits play while I say nothing about it. But until then, I'll see you next time. Maybe for Symphony of the Night, who knows?
Bye, everybody.